The founders forgot that we had medical liberty.
We seem to be losing by taking the side of the middle. And we seem to constantly be losing.
I think Trump has made some kind of arrangements with Russia.
This person has made the allegations that they were a man.
If there's content that's borderline, that's content that we basically will not.
There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset.
Let's talk about science.
I respect you, and I have a great deal of appreciation to you, JF, because in a time when everybody was attacking me, when Sargon doxed me and smeared me, you were the only one who gave me a platform, and you were very kind in helping me put the truth out there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to JFGT tonight. By the way, if you see something around my neck, I'm wearing, you probably won't see it too much because it turns out it's black, but I'm wearing a sperm optimization device. It is a 24-hour monitor. It aims to check my heart rate during 24 hours to optimize my capacity to keep inseminating for the next 20 years. The doctors looked at me and they said, JF, do you still have juice in you? I said, yes, doctor. I would like to inseminate one more time or two. And they said, well, just wear this for 24 hours. We're gonna make a bionic man out of you. We're going to ensure that you're unleashed out there, a free agent, capable to inseminate in his 60s. Planet Mars says, good evening, JF and chat. There is no second best. Hello, Larry Fishman, and hello, everyone. Jay-Z says, hi, JF, happy optimization. Boondock says, I like your policy of immediate insemination on the first date, but I haven't had the balls to try it IRL. How many times has that worked for you? But in my case, it's a special situation. So I wouldn't say to everyone, try this necessarily. But at least have it in mind. And, sometimes in the pursuit of an ideal, you might instead inseminate within the first week or the first month, and that's totally fine. But because I'm a celebrity, I can inseminate on the first day because the woman who fall in love with me have already fallen in love with me for years. They knew me and they heard me maybe a year ago, or they heard one of my clips recently, or maybe they followed me back in the blood sports days. So because of this, I can impose my rhythm to relationships. And sometimes that means direct insemination at site. All right. Yeah, I want to talk about Milo because, and it does relate to insemination. Because this interview with Tucker is interesting. I thought it would be bullshit, and we do see some of the bullshit of the Milo character in there. He's guided now by religion, and it reinforces this idea that there are just people who are too stupid, and they absolutely need religion. They just need a God to tell them what to think. But I want to highlight something about Milo. Because years ago, I did a little critique of him. It was really fair, it was just a friendly critique. And I've done compliments of him too. But I had done a critique and he had answered on Twitter to me, shut the fuck up, you thirsty buffoon. And he was clearly referring, and I think there was a couple of posts then on X, clearly referring to the fact that I inseminate, that I am an heterosexual. And he was trying to mock this. And this interview makes me realize just how pathetic Milo is. And it's I'm not saying this because I want to beat on him, beat on a dead horse. But he is pathetic. He is dysfunctional. He is not someone who should inspire people. He is not someone who should be put at the forefront of America. of our public space. He is a broken individual who, at 41 years old, I found it interesting, we have the exact same age. At 41 years old, I mean, hear this. At 41 years old, Milo just got a cat. And this cat, he says, makes him realize how maybe it's going to turn into fatherhood. Maybe he's going to be a good father. I have 6 children, and this guy was mocking me for my heterosexuality years ago. How is this a voice of reason for anyone? Even if he walks back on what he's done, he's still deeply wrong. Even if with the crutch of religion, he gets to understand, and he understands a lot about the scam of LGBT activism, homosexuality, the liberal push on this stuff, the anti-natalism. He understands not all of it. Not all of it. But he understands a lot of it, and it's interesting what he has to say about this. But he has no solution, and he is still the same broken person he was back then, just with one less lie in his head. But if Milo had listened to me, if Milo had listened to my prescriptions, rather than wait for this revelation that the Catholic Church has the truth, and that heterosexuality is good because God says it. If he had just listened to me years ago, he would have moved on in life, and he may have a couple of babies. Now, meanwhile, while this gay guy was mocking me, I was just stacking babies, inseminating. And now, where are we? We are at the point where, at the very same age, this guy is dreaming of having maybe one baby because he realized having a cat that he may be a good dad. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But as long as he doesn't walk back on this insult that he sent to me, and on this flow of insults that he incited his fan to treat me with, I don't think that Milo has fully understood. I certainly don't think that he's a good guide for whatever, the right or whatever you want to call it, whatever, really, more than the right. I don't think that he's a insightful individual. It's not because you make terrible mistakes all your life and suddenly you realize that they were mistakes that you are now insightful. The fact that you got fooled by this crap shows that you are not. And we would be better off putting forward people who were ready to see that fraud for what it was from the beginning. And that fraud does not just include gayness and sterile lifestyle and sex or addiction. That fraud includes people like Milo mocking people like me for becoming fathers. Now, I played the game of fatherhood and heterosexuality at an extreme level. I played it so hard, you have no idea. I've been greedy because every life counts to me. And when I still see that tweet of Milo still in public, still existing, he didn't delete it, he didn't walk back on it, it makes me realize that even if he was to find the wrongs of his ways, even with religion, he will never find good. He will never find the direction of truth because he's so broken that he's jumping from one crutch to the other. And he's jumping with extremism into Catholicism. And Catholicism does not even give you all of the tools that you need to understand the modern sickness. Legend of Lovecraft says, JF, what do you think of Jeremy Mackenzie and Second Sons Canada? I don't know what these are, so you would have to send me a link. And Jeremy Mackenzie, was it a guy I met? Was it a guy I spoke to here on the show? I don't remember. Planet Mars Prod says, would you ever consider pursuing Christian faith, JF? No, not really. On an intellectual level. Not really, not really. I was with a girlfriend who was strongly Christian, and she wanted me to convert to Christianity. I told her from the outset, there's 99% of the chance I will not be Christian, in the sense of believing in God. Now, I think that the Bible is a good social tool. I believe that Christian morality, I adhere by it, I live by it, and I love Christians, and I love culturally Christian countries and demographically Christian countries. But I need more than this. I'm an intellectual, and the Bible does not offer, the general belief in God just itself does not offer a proper model to understand the world. And therefore, it's like the awakening of Christianity in America is needed demographically, but it's also a trap. It's a trap because it misleads people into not facing the truth. And when you don't face the truth, you always have a blind spot. When you don't face the truth in full, the truth that we are descending from monkeys, the truth that everything is genocide, that everything is a race for demographics. The Bible does not give you those tools. Natural selection makes you understand this stuff. So it's very, as I said to my ex, you can hope all you want, but I don't want to deceive you. 99% of the chance I will not believe in God before I die. And I think the only chance you got that I would believe in God is if I have a massive brain tumor just at the end of my life, and maybe in the last 30 seconds, with half my brain and on drugs, maybe I'll be like, I think I can see God, and then I die. But it would be a delusion. I'm calling it out in advance. I'm calling it out in advance because there's all these great scientists, like, was it Stephen Hawking or some? There's all these scientists who have denied the existence of God, and when they die, their wife says, "Oh well, at the end, I heard him say something about God." I think it's Stephen Hawking, who someone said this about him. I'm calling it in advance. Anything that I say in the last 5 minutes of my life is just delusion. I'm on drugs. If you want the truth, take what I say when I'm cognitively capable. By the way, if you'd like to support the show, you can use the super chat buttons under the regular chat. You can also use the Streamlabs link in the description. This will lead to on-screen displaying of your super chats. And here we have already a super chat coming.
JF, what in your opinion are the strongest counter-arguments to Pascal's wager?
There are two arguments that I would give to Pascal's wager. The first one is a rational one that appeals to an actual philosophical principle, which should be part of any epistemology. So the Pascal's wager, for those who don't know, is this idea: maybe I should believe in God, because if God exists, then I want to be saved, and so I'd rather believe in God and I'll be saved. If God doesn't exist, then whether I believe in him or not doesn't matter. And so so basically Pascal's wager is saying, if I'm wrong and God doesn't exist, there's not a big price to pay. But if I'm wrong and God does exist, then I have a big price to pay, which is my soul will not be saved or something of that form. Any part of any good epistemology contains the prerequisite that arguments ad consequentum are invalid. The consequences of an argument do not change the matter of fact over what is true. So it's like, is the theory of natural selection applying to humans? Oh, well, JF, don't ask this question. You're going to cause genocides. It's like, no. In fact, every time you lie to yourself about this, you cause unwanted, unintentional, genocidal consequences. So the moral consequences, the ethical consequences are unrelated to the facts. This is a direct consequence of the Hume guillotine. The moral fact is separate from the factual world. The moral world is separate from the factual world. And therefore, it is incorrect philosophically to do the Pascal's wager. The Pascal's wager, in fact, is a wager that explicitly appeals to violate the Hume distinction. It explicitly asks you, believe something to be true because of its consequences. But the consequences, just like discovering nuclear physics, is a truth that is independent of causing the nuclear bomb and the death of people. The atoms aren't waiting for the moral consequences to be discovered. So that's one of the fundamental reasons why Pascal's wager is incorrect philosophically. Now, I would add another layer to it. And that's a layer of moral defense. Why shouldn't you do this even if you find the bet tempting? Because you are subjecting your brain and your epistemological process to extortion and hostage taking. Because imagine the world of all IDs. Some of those IDs, they come with a package and some don't. You'll notice, for example, whether the belief that the closest galaxy is Andromeda. That's a belief. It seems to be true. It comes with almost zero consequence in your life. There's almost no consequence other than down the line, okay, well, you're going to start denying physics, you're going to start denying telescopes. But morally, in general, whether Andromeda is the closest galaxy to ours won't change anything in your everyday life. That is a belief that comes without a package. It's a belief that's not trying to extort you. It's a belief that has so little interest and is so disconnected that you can approach that question with a cold, rational mind. Religions are very different. Religions, they come at you with extortion devices. And you could argue that religions survive as they stand because of these extortion devices, that religions that don't have extortion devices spread less easily. So when you are doing the Pascal's wager, you're letting an extortion device be exploited against you. Because what is the feature that makes you want to be right about the existence of God? It is this extortionate feature of religion which says, oh yeah, you have to make a leap of faith. You have to believe in God to be saved. In fact, it is the only thing you have to do to be saved by Jesus. That is an extortionate device. That is something that presents itself and that compels a belief in you that is not justified, but that says, but that promises a reward for it. And it says, if you don't do this, you're not going to get this. Oh, so there's a God, but you have to somehow believe in him without any proof. Or if you don't do this, there's a punishment. You're going to go to hell. Those are extortionate devices, and you need to recognize them. They are part of the Pascal's wager. So both from a tactical epistemologic standpoint and a fundamental one, I reject the Pascal's wager. Doubting Thomas sends a super chat. Thank you very much for your generosity. He says, the challenge with Christianity is to have a justified belief in biblical miracles. Why would they end with the last apostles? There must be some connection via a background of current paranormal activity. Yeah, that is, of course, the religious will tell you, well, the miracles have stopped because we're waiting for the next prophet. And that is also a feature of the irrationality of Milo. And you can see that irrationality just bubbling with Tucker, because Tucker is like this too, explaining things about demons, magic. So it's all these mystical beliefs that got you out of the lie you were in. I'm happy for you, but it's not true. It's not true. And you're going to fall for the next generation is going to fall for the next lie if we don't educate them into truth. Which is, yes, demons can be a metaphorical construct that can be useful and applied, but they're not actual demon, and there's no actual magic. But this set of mystical belief is what's annoying, because there is a truthful explanation as to why homosexuality, the meme made it, and why it's been pushed, and where we failed to combat it. There are explanations, but they're not demons. It's evolution, it's selection, it's modernity, it's the conflict between genes that are scheduled to make you behave properly 100,000 years ago, and they find themselves in the face of modernity. Those are good explanations to understand how an ideological propagandist ideology rises in modern society against people's interest. It's not demon, it's not magic. Another layer of this interview of Milo, and I'll get perhaps to the positive stuff at the end, but for the critical stuff, first we have a man who is so broken in his mannerism. It's very pathetic to see his gay mannerism now expressing themselves with a forced grave voice, trying to look intellectual with a fake pen and fake glasses, and talking in Freudian terms, understanding the problem of homosexuality in Freudian terms. Oh, they're trying to get power, or they're applying the power that they couldn't get on their father. All of this is Freudian crap. All of this is bullshit psychological explanations. And it's not that all of it is even wrong. It's just the wrong framework to come at things. It's the wrong framework. This idea of power balance and control, even if this described correctly, and we don't know that it does, but even if this was to be describing correctly the brain of an homosexual, it would still be a question: why did genes evolve that makes them do that? Why did genes evolve that wanted power? Why did they overdrive into wanting to control some other guy? Those questions are important, because if we are to avoid the kind of social contagion that has been happening around LGBT ideology in the last few years, where we have to also see coming the next one. The next one is not going to be gayness. The next one is not going to be trans. The next one is not going to be the COVID vaccine. the ways in which people are fooled is constantly ever evolving. And if you want real principles that will survive that test of time, you have to listen to someone like me based in first principle evolutionary analysis, someone who understands that we are machines to breed and that all of these lifestyles that are not reproductive, they are all wrong for the people engaging in it. It's not even in their interest. If Milo had listened to what I said in 2015-16 to him in small shows that I was doing, small shows with less than 1,000 viewers, telling him, it's time to make babies, Milo. It's time to make babies. It's time to give up this lifestyle. Make babies. Instead of laughing at me and calling me a thirsty buffoon, he might be better, he might be closer to my situation today with children behind his belt. But he's not. Marby Dog says, I think miraculous things are currently happening, but you don't have to attribute them to God. Miraculous things. I don't see anything miraculous. I see evolving ideologies. I see changes of behaviors. I see evolution of society. It's not hard to believe that this has been going on forever. It all respects the laws of physics. Therefore, it doesn't deserve the label miraculous. Max Mercer says, why not describe religion as a self-replicating ID? Use the revolutionary phenotype to understand religion. The revolutionary phenotype is very clear about why religion is not a replicating ID, or if you want to see it as replicating, you have to call it a full replicator. The reason religion never challenges our biology and never enters in conflict with natural selection is that religion is a meme, religion is changeable, religion can be sculpted. And as a meme, although it does copy, technically it copies from fathers to children, from priests to congregation, it copies itself from brain to brain. But the mechanisms of that copy are not isolated. They are not protected the way DNA is protected. You can have all of the arguments you want with your wife. At the end of the day, the babies you're going to get are going to get the exact same genes. You can live any form of psychological event in your life. Trauma, violence, non-violence, pleasure. At the end of the day, the genes, they don't let a single one of these events change a single letter of DNA. That's what I call isolation. Memes don't have isolation. Therefore, memes, if you want to see them as life form, they are a life form that is constantly genetically modified by the whims and feels of man. And because of this, it cannot evolve in its own direction. The same way, we could not evolve in our own direction if we were constantly genetically modifying ourselves. This is the whole point of the revolutionary phenotype. So no, I cannot accept that religion is a replicative entity because it is not. Boondock says, my girlfriend is reading the revolutionary phenotype. First woman I've met who was willing to hear it out. Well, then you got a good girlfriend. Even some of my girlfriends haven't read the revolutionary phenotype. You got a good girlfriend if she can even summarize it accurately with a sentence or two and maybe learn something from it, then you got a good girlfriend. Yeah, very important book still as of today. which is why I'm sitting on so much in my life that shows me how childish Milo is. And I think he does realize it to some point. I think he realizes the wrongness of his life path. But I don't think since he still has that tweet up insulting me and my heterosexuality, I don't think he's got the lesson in full yet. I'm sitting on a fresh theory of biology, not contested, not debunked by any serious biologist. And I'm sitting on 6 children. And there he is with his cat thinking, oh, I kind of get how fun it is to be a father. But Milo, you look like you have brain damage. Maybe you can try a late insemination, a little bit like my garden plants at the end of the fall, trying for one last tomato. And what's happening with his eye? I mean, maybe it's some sort of a handicap. I don't. People realize, oh, that's why Milo was wearing sunglasses all this time. He has a completely shut up eye. Was it part of his punishment schedule that he self-imposed, or was it brain damage from a brain tumor? I don't know. Boondock says, Milo probably watches your show. Well, if he watch, he doesn't listen. That's the problem. I told Milo, I mean, I've been in this business for how long? 10 years. I remember doing a show telling Milo to go fuck a woman. Like in 2014, 15, I don't... Let's go, Milo. But now it's too late. But see, how hard would it have been for him to do it 10 years ago? And you didn't need God to tell you this. Papa JF is here. Take me as the messenger of God if you need to. Marby Dog says, are Milo's facial tremors the result of brain damage or deception? This is where this interview gets pathetic. It's because this way in which he explains and he gives himself these intellectual tones and looks, like he's talking about something deep, but then he laughs at his own sentences and you don't even end up understanding what he's saying. And he has all these inside reference that he seems to be the only one understanding what he's talking about. Even Tucker is not even answering and the camera is on him and he's like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, but not this, but oh yeah, that's something you can. It is very sad, all of this, because yes, it's at the intersection of, is he just gay or is he brain dead or something? What's happening here? And you can see that some of these facial expressions that he does, it kind of worked probably well when he was young and better looking. You know, we can forgive. When you have beauty, a lot gets forgiven. A lot gets forgiven when you have good appearance and good stance. And so his kind of fabulousness and all, that was forgiven because he kind of seemed witty. But he pursued a witty appearance. But he kept those mannerisms in an age where he's trying now to look genuine. And I think that he's genuine. Like you ask if he's deceiving. I just think that's Milo. I just think that's Milo. Those are his mannerisms that he's integrated so much across his gay career that we might as well think of this as him. Now, yes, they are fabulous displays that are learned. You learn to become that way, to become that annoying in your mannerism. They are learned, but they became him. Ked's Dead says, I'm surprised he didn't throw Nicholas J. Fuentes under the bus in this interview. Well, he did. And see that's another problem. What is he after? What is the goal of Milo? Because on the one hand, he's making this whole I recovered from homosexuality spiel. On the other hand, he has insulted my heterosexual activities, which by the way, you talk, Milo, you talk about how it's great for people to create minds, to create new beings. I did that 6 times. I do that for breakfast, bro. I inseminate like a fucking machine. I'm the master of the game of heterosexuality, the game in which you think maybe you have a shot maybe in the future. You have no shot to have 6 babies. And by the time you make 1, I'll have made 2. But he leaves up those attacks on me on Twitter, and he says in this interview, that is one of the kids that I'm afraid of, the creature that I've created in Nick Fuentes. Bro, let's put aside the question of whether Milo created Nick Fuentes. He didn't. We featured Nick Fuentes at times before Milo was even a Breitbart anything. Okay, so Nick Fuentes was his own man before, and he was going on shows and being featured and rising as a star on YouTube way before getting in that kooky interview with Milo. But let's put that factual thing aside. Suppose you believe, Milo, that you are the father of Nick Fuentes. You are fucking retarded not to see that this is your greatest son. And rather than dismiss him and mention that you're afraid of what he's becoming, you should endorse the greatness of him. If there's anything you've done, if you want to include the hypothesis that you have created Nick Fuentes, well, that would be your best creation, Milo. Now, you can't even stand by it because you're so brain broken that you don't see that Nick Fuentes should make you proud of what he's doing right now and of the direction of the culture that he's influenced over the years. We have a couple of super chat. Let's have a look at these.
Greatest recession ever. In my business circles, 2 bullshitters went bankrupt and the talentless ones struggle to get funding. Meanwhile, I have enough to spare for donations.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. Generous donation, $100. Absolutely awesome. It will help me get that those cardiac monitoring results printed. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And yes, it is great to see. Man, I think you and I, Eric, and perhaps a lot of the people watching us on this show, I think we operate on a smoother curve. Like some people, you know, when you meet them, they're like this. They're always bragging. You can recognize this behavior. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the chat. They're always shaking big business. Hey, JF, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I have so many Bitcoins, bro. Oh, yeah, I'm totally in. Oh, yeah, I'm shaking great business. Oh, yeah, we're making a lot of money. And it's like, I've never said these things, never felt the need to brag about anything. And yet, these people, they can be 10 times richer than you, but you know it's gonna last a second. It's like, you know that they're enmeshed in all sorts of unsustainable things. Whereas you look at my life and how I approached it, I was like, okay, YouTube is making me some money. The academia sucks. I think the future is internet, individual creators, liberty. I'm going to pursue that line of liberty. I'm going to try to build wealth as a process. Going to put out a book so I get some passive income. And it's like, by the time These people go through 4 or 5 cycles of depressed, rich, depressed, rich, depressed. Oh, I have nothing. Oh, now I'm on the streets, rich. Now, oh, fuck, I'm fucked forever. And it's so beautiful to see the natural process of the world just wash away the retards. Just absolute beauty. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? These people, they measure their success by their weekly paycheck, but they forget that the world is about accumulation. They forget that the world is what you're capable of still delivering when you're down, when you're at the bottom of the barrel. I've always cared much more about my bottom than my top. The tops, of course, they're gonna be filled with pride and occasions to grow your wealth and all, and you should jump on those occasions, but store like a fucking squirrel, because the world is made of waves and there are people just cashing in on these waves. For them, you are the little lemon to be pressed, and you're feeling the press and you're mistaking it for success. I love seeing bankers, like you mentioned, Eric, just fail, making the wrong bet. Because I've spent so much time understanding the world and trying to generate my own view of the future. And I think people are just not prepared. People are not prepared because they don't understand that the world coming is not the world of the 60s, not the world of the 80s. You are absolutely retarded if you... Thank you very much. I don't know why this one beeped. While other super chats have not beeped, this one has beeped. Yeah. People think, oh, I'm gonna invest in physical stuff. Oh, I'm gonna open a restaurant. Bro, there is no more way to make cash from society. This society is going to shit. So you back out in Bitcoin, you back out in gold. Even stocks are becoming risky. Let me tell you, there will be a day the stock market will not be a clever way to make money anymore. It basically isn't. It's kind of an inflation tracker right now. Boondock says no one has persevered through more than Papa Jeff. Exactly. I kept playing the game at the highest level, despite all of the attempts to cancel me, all of these women, these fucking delusional witches. I never gave up. But see, Milo is mocking me. And I always felt that one more baby is better than no baby. And I got to 6 doing that. I lived a more Christian life than Milo lives it right now. Jason PK says, Jeff, you're strawmanning the point of the followers of Christ who have held it is not mere belief that saves. You believe that there is one God. So what? The devils also believe and tremble. Well, let me tell you, you may have your own interpretation of this, and I'm acutely aware that there are various branches of Christianity that have a different position on this. But I know that the Baptist position, and it is a very common position within Protestantism, that the belief in Jesus Christ is what saves you. And in fact, it is what saves you above even having committed all sorts of other sin. USPP4 says, how can I email you a list of food from my country? Well, it's jean-françois.gariépy@gmail.com. You can get the email address at jfg.world. Look at the contact section. You should click on contact and you're going to get my email. I am acutely interested in getting any recipes from you guys. I'm discovering so much about food writing white people food. Guy V1T says cottage pie. Thoughts? Cottage pie. What is a cottage pie? Oh, a shepherd pie? Cottage pie. Well, I know that this is delicious. I know I know that this is delicious, but I will be honest with you. I think I may never have eaten a cottage pie, nor a shepherd pie. Because in Quebec, we have our own term for this, and it's different. In Quebec, we call it pâté chinois. And in Quebec, it's beef, corn, potatoes. So it's the same thing as a shepherd pie, but there's a layer of corn in between the two layers. Just grains of corn. It is absolutely delicious. I love this. Pâté chinois, I love. Pâté chinois with Heinz ketchup. Just lines of thick Heinz ketchup. Now, I may be annoying with food these days, but it's because I'm being careful with my eating calorically. So I'm dreaming of food. all day I dream of food, but I don't eat food these days. All day I just dream of food, but I basically fast, and then I fast for 12 hours, 16 hours a day these days, and then I eat a salad with maybe tuna or a small, for example, today my meat was liver. I just got some beef liver and I enjoyed it, but that's why I'm kind of obsessed about food these days. It's because I am eating healthy, and eating healthy leads me to think about food a lot. That's partly why I'm doing the book too, White People Food. It's because at least I can engage theoretically with food without eating it that way. We have another super chat. I have difficulty playing them.
JF, have you heard of the ancient Chinese philosopher Wang Chong? He was a proto-scientific thinker who disproved the existence of ghosts 2,000 years ago.
Okay, I never heard that. I would have to research him. Wang Chong. Disproof of ghost. I mean, disproving ghost. He argued against the existence of ghosts by emphasizing rational explanations for supernatural phenomena, suggesting that many ghostly experiences could be attributed to natural causes, psychological factors, or cultural beliefs rather than actual spirits. Okay, that's great. That's great. He had this idea that if I have an alternate explanation, then I don't need this ghostly explanation. John Drake says, keto works, JF. I suspect carnivore is even better. Okay. Yeah, I know that those are good working diets. Keto, I'm all for it. But I don't obsess about keto in particular. I think it's just a great idea to avoid grains, certainly, avoid cereals, sugars, that kind of stuff. And meat and vegetables is generally very, it's probably what gets you to the healthiest, the easiest way. Xerlungner says, Jeff, how do I grow in height after 20 as a male? I don't know that there's any way you can grow in height. If you're talking about development of a child, maybe. And even then, I would say the food that you eat is probably just gonna just going to make you reach your ceiling, your genetically programmed ceiling. But as an adult, I think it's basically inexistent. Now, there are these wild techniques of leg extension, but that is absolutely not recommended. Like people apply force to their legs to lengthen their legs so that they are higher. Absolutely not recommendable. Absolutely dangerous. I'm pretty sure you're gonna wreck your posture and hurt yourself in a very major way doing that kind of stuff. So to finish on my commentary on Milo, I have all of these critiques of Milo. I've already done them today. It's like it's a blind man trying to shepherd the sheep. And he has made too many errors in his life, and he still has those tweets about me, mocking my heterosexuality, mocking the fact that, Milo, think about all of your life, everything you've ever felt, all that you've discovered was wrong, and your capacity to reach some sort of happy ending to your life. I produced 6 lives like this through my heterosexuality. And if you had followed my advice of many years ago, you may have to. So, not a good shepherd, not a good guide for the world, because even in his correction of his behavior, he now claims to be an ex-gay. He only sees what he was fooled by, but he doesn't see the correct path. And he only sees a path that was handed to him as a crutch, some sort of belief in God, belief in redemption, and exactly what he would want to hear, being the sinner that he is. But that won't guide him toward an effective life path. It might just stop the damage. That's where Milo is at. He's at the stop the damage moment. And the pathetic aspect of this interview is that I realized I probably had grown in maturity. At 8 years old, approximately, I was probably where Milo was at 41. Milo is now at 41. See, realizing that, it's nice to care for cats, that's something I've done at 8-year-old. Milo is doing it at 41. So I don't think it's looking good for the prospect. That being said, what was very good about his performance is that he has a detailed and sometimes psychological, but still valid understanding of the deceptive nature of homosexuality promotion in our world. Maybe it's a little too big. He says it's not females that have taken over the world, it's gays. I don't know about this. I think he's overreaching there. But I think he has a valid point in understanding the deceptive nature, how people's psychology of reward is misguided toward the homosexual lifestyle and LGBT promotion. I think he doesn't fully understand the antinatalist component of all this. It's not random that there are other things of society that are as antinatalist as homosexuality, but they have nothing to do with homosexuality. There are various things that have been done to society since the 60s, including careerism for women, including abortion, including family courts. All of these are an antinatalist attack onto the people. Now, it doesn't seem that Milo understands that homosexuality is just one small part of this. Milo seems rather to have an homosexuality-centric explanation of the takeover of society, when in fact it's the other way around. There is a bunch of people who have decided, people with political control, both elite and part of the base people in the form of women voting, they have decided to be in a fight against the family and against natality. And homosexuality is just one component of this. this diagnosis is important because how you understand this impacts how you end up understanding the sickness and the sinful developments of this world. Because Milo, having his homosexuality-centric view of the world, he sees those politicians as just being these gay in the closet people wanting power. He has a Freudian explanation for all this, but it's not really what it is. I believe that politicians in power are at the intersection of gayness for various reasons. One of them is that politicians are ultimately part of the puppets that are used for the anti-natalist attack against the people. And you can see that they are being used across various dimensions that have nothing to do with homosexuality, like immigration, like population replacement. Anti-social justice warrior says, I did lose some weight, not in a good way though. I'm 40 pounds lighter, also no alcohol for almost a year. Yes, alcohol, unfortunately, it can be a pleasurable thing to enjoy. I love enjoying wine, but the fact is, every molecule of alcohol, the problem is it puts demand on your liver, and it ultimately is converted in calories. So alcohol is caloric. Even if there are no caloric label on wine, there is a lot of stuff. The alcohol molecules, they get transformed eventually into sugar, and the sugar is now calories in your body. Ty Rogerson says, how does Milo fit into Candace's growing plot? Well, it's a good question. I don't know. Is Milo part of the French government attacks on Candace? I don't know that he is. I don't know. I don't know. I've been watching Candace tonight. She is revealing the name of a person who was on the Egyptian plane. And she has evidence that this person was also on an Egyptian flight that involved the president of Egypt. So what does that tell us? Is this a high-level guy? Is it the pilot, she said? I don't know what it tells us, but that shows the state of development in her investigation. Doubting Thomas says, JF, regarding Candace's recent revelations, is it finally time to address the female question? What kind of subversion have you been pulling off on us with this show? You mean whether we should trust Candace on her investigatory and journalistic skills? I've been critical of some of the wildest stuff that she's looked into because I didn't find it productive. And I was finding that, like, if you work with 15 different, the French question, not the female question, the FQ, the French question. As far as Candace, I don't think you should trust anyone. I don't think you should trust me. I don't think you should trust Candace. You should be critical of Candace when she goes in a unproductive direction, and you should be applauding when she goes in a productive, interesting direction, and when she highlights things that are important. I do think that she is the only game in town right now into finding actual responses as to what happened to Charlie Kirk. And for that, she is watched by 150,000 viewers live every night. And that's because she's the only game in town in a very serious question that we all want resolved. So I applaud her effort, even if at times she has been a kind of psycho bitch. But if it turns out that a psycho bitch turns out to at least boil in make the crowds want to discover something around the killing of Charlie Kirk, then that's important. Now, regarding the French question, do the French have so much interest in America that they would get someone killed? It's possible. It's weird because it's like, I don't know, I guess I'm seeing it way too much through the food angle, but I'm like, France doesn't even have cheese. Good French cheese sold in the US. Why would they care about Charlie Kirk? But it's not impossible. And let's not forget that France doesn't just have its interest. Because from a political standpoint, killing either Charlie Kirk or Candace Owen from the French people perspective, it's kind of ridiculous. But understand that France as a country is a country led by elites that don't have at all the interest of the people at heart. So France is an occupied nation. And as such, it may engage in some actions militarily, tactically, or even perhaps a criminal action like this for another group or for some other sets of interest or dark sets of interest that are behind the elites of France. That is the problem we're faced. It's like, it's not so much in terms of geopolitical understanding of true French interest, but French could be a proxy. Egypt could be a proxy in something that is getting manipulated in some dark plan that is emerging among elites, where the elites of France could be at times puppets or slaves to such people. That is it for tonight, boys. Thank you so much for your generosity. Man, I feel so great because I'm making money again. I've been enjoying streaming on Odyssey and Rumble for 2 years without a YouTube monetized. And now I'm back on YouTube, and I don't need to make enormous amounts of money. I have, first, that there were people who were extremely generous across the years who have given me Bitcoin and who have given me stuff that could help me have a pillar to stand on. So I don't need super amounts of money every month. But it feels good. It feels good to see those 100 super chats coming in, those $10 here, $10 there, because all of this used to be my my way of making a living, and under Odyssey and Rumble, it was just not enough. But for the first time, now it's looking like a decent salary where I'm actually making more money than I could at McDonald's. And that feels really great. Dead Star says, very monetized now, 3 damn ads. Well, I'm sorry about the ads. I've already put the setting to low. If you tell me it's still annoying at low, I could put the setting at even lower. I don't know. I have choices. But we are headed at least to a financially viable operation, which is great because I really love streaming, and the more money you guys give me, the more I can charm the next insemination target.